Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to crack open the digital filing cabinet of our computers. We're going to get right to the heart of how information is organized, breaking down the two really fundamental ways that code stores and manages all the data we use every day. So let's just jump right in with a question I bet you've thought about. You're typing, you make a mistake, you hit undo, and poof, it's gone. How in the world does your computer remember the last thing you did, and the thing before that, and the thing before that? Well, the answer is all about how it organizes that information, and we are going to pull back the curtain on exactly how it works. Just think about all the data on your computer, your contacts, your files, where you are in a video game. It's like a massive filing cabinet filled with papers, and to find anything in that mess, you absolutely need a system. Well, that system is exactly what we're talking about today. And at its core, that system is called a data structure. It's basically a blueprint for how data gets arranged. And for a developer, this is one of the most critical choices you can make. The right structure, it makes an app feel snappy and fast. The wrong one, oh boy, it can grind that same app to a screeching halt. It's literally the foundation of all software. And really, all of these blueprints, they fall into two main camps. On one side, you've got your linear structures. This is where data is all lined up nice and neat, one after the other, like a single file line. And on the other side, you have nonlinear structures, where data is all interconnected in much more complex ways, kind of like a family tree or a social network. So let's start with the easy path, the straight and narrow. We're going to dive into the world of linear structures, where everything follows a very clear sequential order. Okay, so the most basic linear structure, the one everybody starts with, is the array. Just picture a row of boxes, all sitting right next to each other in your computer's memory. The cool thing is you can instantly grab any item as long as you know its position number, which we call an index. Now here's a fun quirk. In programming, we almost always start counting from 0. So to get Bob, who's the second item, we'd actually ask for index 1, just like this. My contacts, 1. And that direct lookup is what makes arrays incredibly fast for just grabbing data. And you see arrays absolutely everywhere. A chessboard? That's just a two-dimensional array. Your phone might use an array for a list of emergency contacts that doesn't change much. Even the pictures you look at are basically just giant 2D arrays of pixel color data. They're perfect for when you know exactly how many items you're going to need to store right from the start. But what if you don't know how many items you'll have? That's where the linked list comes in. Instead of one solid block of memory, a linked list is a dynamic chain. Each item, which we call a node, holds on to two things, its piece of data and a pointer. And you can just think of that pointer as the memory address of the next node in the chain. It creates this sort of digital treasure hunt, leading you from one item to the next. Let's look at the blueprint for just one of those links, a single node. You can see it here in this little bit of pseudocode. It's a really simple container, right? It has one part for the data itself and another part called next, which holds the address of the node that comes after it. And that simple design is the key to its flexibility. If you want to add a new item, you don't have to move a giant block of data around like with an array. Nope, you just have to adjust one or two of these little pointers. It's way more efficient. This kind of flexibility is perfect for something like a GPS. Imagine your route is a linked list of intersections. If there's a roadblock, the system doesn't have to throw out the whole route and start over. It just adjusts the next pointers to detour around that blocked intersection and then links right back up with the rest of the path. Super clever. All right, let's circle back to our undo button mystery. The secret to it is a structure called a stack. And the best way to think about it is like a stack of plates. You can only add a new plate to the top of the stack, and you can only take a plate from the top. This simple rule is a huge principle in computer science, last in, first out, or LIFO for short. And that's it. That is the secret sauce behind the undo button. Every single thing you do, typing a word, deleting something, changing a font, it all gets pushed or added to the top of this action stack. When you hit undo, the program simply pops the most recent action off the top of that stack and reverses it. Simple as that. Now, the close cousin of the stack is the queue. And if a stack is a pile of plates, a queue is a line at the bank. You join at the back of the line and you get served from the front. So the principle here is the exact opposite. First in, first out, or FIFO. The first one to get in line is the first one to get helped. Makes sense, right? And this is perfect for managing tasks in the order they were received. Think about sending a bunch of documents to a printer. They print out in the exact order you sent them. That's a queue. Your computer's operating system is constantly using queues to decide which tasks the CPU should work on next. It's all about fairness and keeping things in order. Okay, so we've totally mastered the straight line. Now it's time to branch out. Nonlinear structures are where things get really, really powerful because they allow us to model the messy, complex, interconnected world that we actually live in. So the most common nonlinear structure is called the tree. It has one single starting point called the root, and then every item or node can branch out into child nodes below it. And you'll notice, unlike a linked list node that just has a pointer for next, a simple tree node might have pointers for a left child and a right child, which is what allows it to build that branching, hierarchical structure. Your computer's file system? That's a giant tree. But where they really shine is in searching. Databases use these incredibly specialized trees to index massive amounts of data. So to find something, you don't have to look through every single record one by one. You just navigate down a few key branches of the tree, which makes searching unbelievably fast. Now, for the most complex relationships of all, we use graphs. A graph is really just a collection of nodes, we call them vertices in graph speak, and the connections between them, which we call edges. There's no hierarchy here, no root, no start or end. It's just a pure free-form web of relationships. A social network is the perfect example of a graph. You are a node, and your friendships are the edges connecting you to other nodes. Google Maps uses a gigantic graph to represent every road and intersection so it can find the best route from A to B. Graphs are the ultimate tool for modeling and understanding complex, real-world networks. So there we have it. These two big families of structures, the straight and narrow linear path and the complex, branching, nonlinear web. So the big question is, how do you decide which one to actually use? Well, let's just lay it all out. Linear structures, they arrange data in a simple sequence, which makes them really easy to just step through from the beginning to the end. Nonlinear structures, on the other hand, create these complex hierarchies or networks, and you need more complicated algorithms to find your way around them. So it really boils down to this. Use linear structures for simple lists and ordered tasks, and you pull out the nonlinear big guns for modeling complex relationships. And this is the main takeaway. There is no single best data structure. The choice you make is a fundamental design decision, and it depends completely on the problem you're trying to solve. Are you modeling a simple to-do list, or are you modeling the entire internet? The relationships within your data will always tell you which tool to pick from the toolbox. You know, what's so amazing is that for all the incredible complexity in modern software, it all boils down to these two fundamental ways of organizing things. Every sophisticated algorithm, every app on your phone, it's all built on these foundational ideas of either sequential or network data. Just two. From your photo gallery to your favorite game, every single app you use is just a clever combination of these structures. They are the invisible architecture of our entire digital world. So the next time you think about building something new, ask yourself, is my data a line or is it a web? Thanks so much for diving in with me on this one.